Welcome back to part 2 of this massive book thrifting haul. Welcome to the books I got from Mckay's. If you guys have weren't here last year for I went in late May last year to see Naomi, and we went book thrifting, and she has this beautiful place called Mckay's Used Books. And Mckay's Used Books is like the best place I've ever found for selling and buying used books. They give you a ton of credit, I feel like. Then you can go through the store and spend it all on so many books. And it's like free money. It's not really free money, but you know what I mean. It feels like, I feel like a kid in a candy store. So I got an obscene amount of money for all the books I brought down, and I have like maybe 30 bucks left. So I have to save that for the next time I go down to see Naomi. But this is everything I got. I did pay full price for a couple of things that weren't on credit. One was for me and 2 were for Jesus because they weren't covered in like the in-store limited credit. And you know, when you're done with this, if for some reason you haven't watched part 1 and you want to see all the stuff I got from the actual thrift stores and from Barnes & Noble and from just Naomi, you can watch part 1. I'll link it somewhere and in the description. Otherwise, let's jump into all the things that I got at Mckay's this time around. I love Mckay's. I love you, Mckay's. You're fantastic. In no particular order, I guess we're just going to go through this because it is a hodgepodgey mess of stuff. There's also a little bag hidden back here too. My favorite thing about Mckay's is their fantasy section. It's a little bit more expensive than their general fiction and their romance. And by more expensive, I mean like a lot of books are like $4 instead of 50 cents. I love it. I think they have an extensive fantasy collection, and especially in like older fantasy, and I went hard there the last time and I went hard there this time, so get ready for that. I also picked up a few random things for Jesus as always, so I'll start back here with this bag. It's just chaos. This is just chaos. Alright, let me put this down. Otherwise it's just gonna crinkle the whole time. And I'm only doing this just like on my phone, real budget, like no makeup. I look like trash. Do I care? I do not care. I picked up a book I've already owned and unhauled, but I got it for 20 cents and I unhauled it like years ago. And this is, I picked up books 1 and 2 is somewhere in here as well, from Deanna Rainbourn's Lady Julia Gray novels. This is Silent in the Grave. I actually started reading it last night, rereading it last night in bed. I was exhausted, so I didn't make it very far, but I am so happy to get back to this couple. I miss Brisbane. He's just scrumdiddlyumptious, and this has to stay out of like a pile somewhere, so I continue to read this. But basically, it's like Victoriana murder mystery romance, and it's fantastic. The characters are just, they have so much character. I love them. I picked up Marcel Proust's Swan's Way because somebody on Instagram, I asked everybody what they were reading on Thursday, and somebody was reading this, and they convinced me to get it, and I just happened to be there, so I picked it up. It was the only Proust they had in-house. I picked up Sarah Waters' Fingersmith, which I have to make sure I don't already have this, and I need to make a definitive list of the Sarah Waters books I have now, because I do have quite a few, and I really want Tipping the Velvet, and I haven't been able to find Tipping the Velvet to save my life. But I did pick this up, and I'm going to stick this in a separate pile to double check. Joyce Carol Oates's We Were the Mulvaneys, because this is the one that Naomi has, and it was 35 cents, and we both wanted to try reading her, so I picked this up so that we can read her together. We can read one together. I am super psyched about this and this, and put these two together. So I picked up the Foundation trilogy by Isaac Asimov, and this is the bind-up of all 3, and then I also picked up this fantasy story of his. It's called Azazel. I don't know, but there's this adorable little devil just going in this man's pocket, and the story sounded hilarious, and I had to, and they're super short, and I love that they still have their dust jackets and everything, and like these are like crazy awesome find, and I'm super psyched for those. I picked up a copy of Dr. Zhivago in hardback because I don't have a really beautiful copy of Dr. Zhivago, and I've actually not read my paperback copy of Dr. Zhivago, so I need to read it. And I also found one for Naomi so that we can read it together. This is a classic, and if you know anything about Dr. Zhivago, I would encourage you to read The Secrets They Kept. It talks a lot about, by Sarah Prescott. I think it's Sarah Prescott. Read that book. It talks a lot about some like the backstory of why Dr. Zhivago isn't just like a great work of literature. It's actually an incredibly important piece of literature in like the historical context of and political context of the time. Anyway, I picked up Betty because if I heard one more person talk about Betty and how good Betty is and how everybody must read Betty, I might scream. So they had this for like $7. I picked that up. These are my expensive books that I bought there. And they had Call Baby. So, and I've been really meaning to read this and I finally have it. So super psyched about that. And that's everything that was in that little bag. And now we have the big box of Good Times. So, oh, there's so much fantasy in here. Okay, so I picked up this. I've never heard of this before, and it just sounded like such a fun series. I guess there's 3. I only found 2, and this is Tony Valentine's Dream London and Dream Paris, and it just sounded really interesting. It gave me like a little bit, at least Dream London gave me a little bit of like Darker Shade of Magic vibes, probably just because it's London, but it's like Captain Jim Winterburn has looks, style, and courage. He's adored by women, respected by men, feared by his enemies. He's the man to find out who has twisted London into this strange new world. In a dream London, the city changes a little every night and the people change a little every day. The towers are growing taller, the parks have hidden themselves away, and the streets form themselves into strange new patterns. There are people sailing in from new lands down the river, new criminals emerging in the East End, and paths spiraling down to another world. Everyone is changing. No one is who they seem. And it just sounded fun. The first book here, and this Mark Lawrence, this is the, oh shoot, what is this? Red Queen, Blood Queen, Red Queen's War. The first book in the Red Queen's War, Prince of Fools. There were a lot of Mark Lawrence's in general, but they weren't like any complete sets, and they were like a whole mix of different formats, a whole mix of different stuff. So first books, second books, third books. So I just got this because it was a first book, and I want to try that. My dad is just texting me. I should probably tell my dad I made it home so he doesn't think I died. I picked up this. It's a trilogy, and they only have the first 2, but it's in beautiful orbit paperbacks. You know I have a weakness for orbit paperbacks. And it says, All Roads Lead to War, A Crown. This is the Crimson Empire series by Alex Marshall. And the first one's A Crown for Cold Silver and A Blade of Black Steel. And I can't remember what the third one is called, but they didn't have it. And what I liked is it says, 5 villains, 1 legendary general, a final quest for vengeance. And yeah, 5 villains, 1 legendary general, a battle for survival. So these sound fun and like kind of like classic kind of fantasy. Then there were a couple things I found that were actually like on my list, because I do have a list of books I'm sort of always looking for. I've been looking for these Carol Berg, Flesh and Spirit and Breath and Bone duology, and I found both of these in really good condition, and I'm super psyched to finally have these and read these because I feel like they keep popping up on my feed. And then they also had a complete set of this other series of hers, so I figured since I had so much trade-in cash that I would get them. So I got books 1, 2, and 3 of The Bridge of Darnath by Carol Berg. So if anybody has read this series, let me know. So this is Son of Avanar, Guardian of the Keep, and The Soul Weaver. So those sounded fun. And since it's much easier for me, I feel like when I'm book thrifting, because I don't care about format all that much. So I'll get like mass market paperbacks, I'll get whatever. And yes, this is all over the place in terms of genre, just deal with it. So I got Through a Glass Darkly by Carleen Cohn, and this is just a historical fiction, and it's set in 18th century France, I believe. I could be wrong in terms of its setting, but it just sounded, yeah, set against the French court awash with intrigue, treachery, and debauchery. And it just sounded like a good time, a nice, thick, fun historical romance, which I kind of want, or maybe not romance, but historical fiction that I want to get back into. I'm sure there's a little bit of romance. Those things usually do have some romance in them. I picked up Midnight Riot by Ben Aaronovitch because Jesus and I have both been eyeing this book for quite a while. They only had, this is the first one. There's at least 2 more. There's Moon Over Soho and Whispering Underground. And it's got like, it says The Adventures of a Rookie Cop and a Magical Apprentice. So I don't know. They are just, and I think it's like a fictional London kind of town. Yeah, because it says like Covent Garden. So it's sort of like it's a London-ish setting, and so this goes in my pile of books that Jesus and I are sharing. Super excited for that. And then I also picked up a copy of Smoke by Dan Violetta. And this just sounded really interesting, and it's gorgeous. Like, it's absolutely beautiful. I've never heard of it before. England a century ago, give or take a few years, an England where people who are wicked in thought or deed are marked by the smoke that pours forth from their bodies, a sign of their fallen state. Aristocracy do not smoke, proof of their virtue and right to rule, while the lower classes are drenched in sin and soot. An England utterly strange and unreal. And then the next sentence says, an elite boarding school where sons of the wealthy are groomed to take power as their birthright. Teachers with mysterious ties to warring political factions at the highest levels of government. And like, so like, I'm not going to keep going on. Basically, it's got like all the things I like. It's got like London. It's got like a little fantasy element. It's got a boarding school. It's just got like a dark academic bent to it. Like political intrigue. If it sucks, it sucks. But it just sounds really fun. This I might have as a duplicate, and I can't remember if I have this already, but it's You Against Us by Frederick Bachman. This is like the follow-up to Beartown. I'm not sure if I have it already. I really thought I didn't, but then like the further we got away from Mckay's, the more I was like, but do I? I might. So one day I will have to like catalog all of my books. Also, why is everyone texting me? I picked up another Zadie Smith, and this is on beauty. I wanted to also get White Teeth, but there was only one copy. It was really janky, even jankier than this, I think, and it was super expensive for a used book. So this was like $2, but like White Teeth was like $6 and really not in great condition. Naomi was going on and on and on about this book by Marilyn Robinson, Housekeeping, and she said it like made her physically like feel like she felt suffocated while reading this, and I was like, okay, I have to read this book. Never even heard of it. I don't even remember her talking to me about it, so she must have read it like randomly and not said anything. I picked up My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix because it was there. It's probably one of my favorite book covers of all time, and I'd like to give Grady Hendrix another try. I wasn't like the biggest fan of the Southern Woman's Guide to Vampire, whatever, that whole thing. There were choices that were made in that book that I'm not so sure about. I picked up On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. This sounds so good. I mean, just the fact that it says the first thing written in the flap is, you're a mother, Ma, you're also a monster, but so am I, which is why I can't turn away from you. And I'm like, I feel like I'm going to have emotions and I'm going to relate to things in some way, and it's going to be crazy. I picked up another bind up of Laurel K. Hamilton. This is The Midnight Cafe. So this is 3 other Anita Blake books. This is The Lunatic Cafe, Bloody Bones, and Killing Dance. And if you've been here for like other hauls and vlogs and stuff, you will know that I picked up a different bind up of hers right recently. I can't remember what that other one was called, but I think it's like Club Vampire or something. So I picked up another one. This is 54 cents. How could I say no? I picked up The 10-Year Nap by Meg Wolitzer because it was cheap. It was 50 cents, and it says, for a group of 4 New York friends, the past decade has been defined largely by marriage and motherhood, but it wasn't always that way. Growing up, they had been told that their generation would be different, and for a while this was true. They went to good colleges and began high-powered careers, but after marriage, babies, for a variety of reasons, they decided to stay home temporarily to raise their children. Now, 10 years later, they are still at home, unsure of how they came to inhabit lives so different from the ones they expected. So it just sounded like something very relatable to me in my and as my doctor put it, my 4th decade of life. I almost punched him for that. Girl, Woman, Other by yes, I can't talk. Yes, Girl, Woman, Other. I finally own it. Oh my God, why can't I make words? Randomly picking things up out of this box now. I picked up a couple Raymond Feists because I can't remember which Raymond Feists I have because there are so many Raymond Feists. And Naomi got me so many of them that I tried to pick out ones that I'm fairly certain I don't have. So these are going to go on my pile to double check. But Flights of the Nighthawks, this is the Dark War Saga. I don't think I have anything from the Dark War Saga. So I picked up that. And I don't think I have this one either, Crondor the Betrayal. I'll have to check that against my stacks of Raymond Feists. And then I picked up one other Raymond Feist, I think, but I think that one was a hardback. Yeah, I picked up Shards of a Broken Crown, which I might have this one, but I definitely know if I do, I don't have it in hardback, so I grabbed this. I have The Idiot by Dostoevsky because I don't have The Idiot yet and I want to read that. This just sounded very familiar and also really funny, and it probably is because it says over 5 million copies were sold. The 100-year-old man who climbed out the window and disappeared and this is Johannes Johannesson, and it just sounded really, really interesting and good and weirdly uplifting. The God of Small Things, because everyone has told me this is really good and they had it for $2, so I'll try it. This sounded really familiar to me, and this is Mary McGarry Morris, and this is Songs in an Ordinary Time. And it's like 1960. It's a masterful epic of the everyday, illuminating the kaleidoscope of lives that tell the compelling story of this unforgettable family. It's like family saga. Why do I remember this book? Like, why is this title like sticking in my mind as something that I meant to read? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is kind of more for Jesus. So that goes over there. This is the second in the Deanna Raybourn, Lady Julia Gray's. This is Silent in the Sanctuary. These were the only 2 they had, so I'm a little upset about that, but we'll keep an eye out. I picked up the first book, and in this series, the first book is Black Sun Rising. I got that on Pango, I believe. This is C.S. Friedman, and this is When True Night Falls, and I believe I got this as part of Women Who Write Grimdark. So they had the third and final book in this trilogy as well, but it was in such bad shape that I wasn't willing to spend $4 for it. I'll quickly just go through the last couple things I got in terms of books for Jesus. He loves Egyptology and Egyptian stuff, and Tutankhamun in particular. So I got him this book on Tutankhamun. I got him The Untold Story of Tutankhamun. And then I got him The Rape of the Nile, Tomb Robbers, Tourists, and Archaeologists in Egypt. He might already have this one, but it sounded really interesting if he doesn't. I don't think he has the other ones. It is fun having a man who reads, but it's also not fun because, like, I feel like I spent a lot of money on him too, but that's okay. And then I did find these for him. They sell video games there as well, so I got him, and I did not realize these weren't covered, otherwise I wouldn't have gotten them, but I don't know. He doesn't know he got these. So these are his surprise. I got him Mafia 3, whatever this is, for PS4. And then as a joke, I got him, because Pillars of the Earth is one of his favorite books, I got him this video game of Pillars of the Earth, because who knew that Pillars of the Earth had a video game? I didn't. And then last but not least, I have 3 books here. I picked up The Song of Jade Lily. And I'm not sure about this one, to be honest. This is Christy Manning. I picked up just a couple historical fictions. I didn't go too crazy in there because I always feel like I'm going to read them, but then I don't. And I picked this up because they have dual timelines. There's 1939, 2 young girls meet in Shanghai, also known as the Paris of the East. And then 2016, fleeing London with a broken heart, Alexandra returns to Australia to be with her grandparents. And then I think like the stories intertwine as she learns from her grandmother about her past in Shanghai. So I like that kind of setup for a story, so it sounded really interesting. I also picked up Beijing Coma by Ma Jane. First of all, it's fantastic condition, and the concept of this, it just sounds good. Dai Wei has been unconscious for almost a decade, a PhD student at Beijing University and pro-democracy protester in Tiananmen Square. In June of 1989, he was caught by a soldier's bullet and fell into a deep coma. As soon as the hospital authorities discovered that he had been an activist, his mother was forced to take him home. Dodging constant police surveillance, she took him to quack doctors in the remote countryside, hoping they might bring him out of his coma. When her money ran out, she sold his left kidney and befriended Master Yao, a member of the outlawed Falun Gong sect, who was prepared to treat Dai Wei for free. He lives on his iron bed and relives the past, returning to his childhood in the Cultural Revolution, his 3 troubled love affairs, and the heady days of the democracy movement, while all around him China continues to change. I don't know, it just sounded like really, 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 really interesting narrative structure, and it's going to be like, something about this is going to, it's going to be eye-opening, and I just, I can't believe it was only 58 cents, to be honest with you. That sounded really, really good. And then finally, I bought for full price, Young Mungo. Super excited for this. Again, I learned something. The pink stickers and the video games are not covered by the limited trade-in. Now I know what the limited is. Anyway. But I'm really excited. I debated on getting Young Mungo the whole time, and I just picked it up. I was on a splurge. That was my big splurge for Mckay's, because I didn't spend any money otherwise. Yeah, so that's the rest of what I got this weekend. I don't know where it's gonna go. I'll have to unhaul some more books. I can't believe I still have credit. That's the thing I can't believe. I still have credit, guys. I could have gotten more books. I actually went back and picked up 2 more books after I checked out because I was thinking about them. And Naomi said, go back and just get them before we pull out of this parking lot. So I went back and got them. I still have like 30 some odd dollars. As always, when I do a haul, if there is anything that you have read in this pile of things, please let me know how you felt about them. If there is anything you loved or disliked, I'd love to hear it. If there's anything I should prioritize to read first, please let me know. Don't judge me. I have problems. Book collecting is its own hobby, okay? Okay. Anyway, we're here to support and enable. We are not here to judge each other. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you feel so inclined, please like and subscribe. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in my next video, whatever it may be, because it's my channel and I can do whatever I want. Ciao.
So just sit with me, talking to the night until the morning, building chemistry. I don't think I ever wanna go come closer next to me. Trying to find another way to say this, but I think we were meant to be.